It's safe to say that if you're a fan of Counter-Strike, esports, or, well, theScore esports, you've probably savored the smell of gunfire and freedom like a billion times.
Cloud9 answering back twice as hard, taking down Belt, automatic with the kill, and just like that, Cloud9 in a 1 versus 4. Taco can't do anything, the pandemonium is 16 rounds, and Cloud9 are in the grand finals of a major tournament.
From the reverse sweep in groups to Stewie's famous behold, you know the story of how Cloud9 took a bunch of scrappy pug stars and did the impossible, clawing their way to North America's first and only major championship in the history of CSGO.
Guardian waits patiently as Cloud9 sets the push up. Oh, it happens! They made it work! Cloud9 are your E-League major champions!
Now, what you may not know is that it wasn't just Rush, tarik, Tim, Skadaddy, and the smoke criminal who took home that title. It was also their coach, Soham Valens Chowdhury, the secret ingredient and unsung hero behind Cloud9's historic success. You see, unlike a lot of coaches, Valens isn't just a former competitor who hashed up masterful machinations and motivational speeches. No, he's actually a Stanford-educated, tech-obsessed genius who left behind roles at some of the world's most prestigious companies to not only compete in and coach professional Counter-Strike, but make it a little more calculated. And, of course, to help NACS become a little bit less of a meme and more of a science.
What's interesting is like this meme of NACS, whatever, right? I feel like we do a lot of stuff that's unique and we make it work, and eventually that becomes kind of like a meta for that map. But we're doing things that are like, could be super stupid.
So what inspired Valens to give up his life as a world-class coder for a shot in CSGO? In what sense did his numbers-driven approach help his region win their only major? And how is he hoping to disseminate it throughout not only Counter-Strike, but esports at large?
Last time you came and talked to us, we won the major. That's how I remember.
I always come to talk to you, so I don't know, man. You for bringing that up.
Okay, so before we molly car and full send it up banana, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That way you'll know straight away as soon as we put out another video that includes Bardolph screaming, "Look at the time!" Because, I mean, we will. It never gets old. Alright, so in order to understand how Valens started going all moneyball in CSGO, we first need to understand his origins outside of gaming. When I say that Valens was a big-brained bruv, I don't mean it by esports' colloquial basement-dwelling standards. I mean it by Silicon Valley standards. Valens studied at Stanford, and as he talked about on the DDK show, shortly after finishing his master's in electrical engineering, took a job at what was then a promising and extremely prestigious little startup. You may have even heard of it. It's called Tesla.
When you were there, it felt very kind of just like everyone has like a single vision. I saw Elon Musk walking around every single day. It kind of was humbling as well that these guys were willing to get their hands dirty and just kind of mingle with everyone else because they just wanted to see their company succeed as well.
And as he went on to tell DDK, it was at Tesla that Valens' fiery passion for analytics and data-driven problem solving was first ignited. It was there he realized that underneath every human activity, whether to do with cars or Counter-Strike, there are numbers that tell a story.
Kind of my job there was to proactively using the data that was coming in from the cars that were being driven all over the road, using that data to proactively figure out if there was something wrong with the car before the user and the driver actually experienced it. No one had ever tried that before in the automobile industry. I think that's kind of where my first taste of like, oh, like there's a bunch of data here that no one has seen before. What cool things can you do with it? Start getting that train of thought running is kind of where the data science aspect of my career kind of came from.
The thing is, devoted as he was to his job, Valens wanted to build something for himself. It just so happened that right as he was switching to freelance, CSGO started getting big. Having put his love for esports on the back burner whilst in college, Valens took the opportunity in 2014 to go whole hog into global offensive as a competitor.
Open M4. Glorin going to take down Skadaddy, so the AWP has been dealt with, and a great little catch on today's.
You know, I wasn't known as the most mechanically gifted player, and part of the reason is I actually really just like watching the game and strategizing way more than actually, you know, getting in the DM and like aim mapping and like working on my aim in the first place.
Unfortunately, Valens' playing career didn't end up being as illustrious as he'd hoped. After spending about a year and a half hopping across such rosters as Savage, Denial, Nihilum, and even Complexity, Valens found himself being released from Cole at the tail end of 2015. It was then that Valens had a choice to make. Continue on in esports, and hopefully find a way to put his revolutionary, numbers-driven ideas to use, or accept a full-time position at another well-reputed tech company known as Google. Guess which one he chose.
The initial reason that I wanted to join Google full-time, I would say towards the end of Complexity, I kind of realized that there was probably like a year or 2 years between that ending and esports really taking off, where data science and analytics would actually make a difference from the org perspective in esports. So I said, okay, I'm gonna put my playing career on pause and let me explore this Google opportunity and make sure my data science skill sets kind of stayed up to snuff.
But as fate would have it, esports wasn't finished with Valens. The thing is, it latched back onto him not for his moves on the server, but his mind.
And Tim, so Automatic, I think is a huge influence in my decision making. And he was like, hey, we're thinking of making this team on TSM. They're going away from their Danish team at the time. They wanted to build an NA, roster. He actually asked me, I remember initially, do you still want to play? And I said, I don't think so. I think I want to move more to the coaching side. And remember back then, coaching had a lot of influence even in the game, like live in the game server. It really was like moving a bunch of pawn and chess pieces, and that definitely influenced my decision to kind of come try it out part-time.
The question, of course, was whether he'd be any good.
All the teams that Valens has led strategically, and Valens will be the in-game leader from the coaching position, Denial, Nihilum, Cole, they were never known for strong and effective tactics. I mean, they weren't known as these tactical teams. Valens going to be leading full-time from the coaching position, and I can't see how FNS and Cephas are really going to help him out strategically and tactically to make that any kind of game plan or any kind of system that is going to find this team success.
For one whole year, Valens helped spearhead TSM's shiny new North American Counter-Strike roster to, well, varying forms of success. You see, Valens wasn't known for being a rigid shot caller. He was a researcher. And for a roster as young and inexperienced as TSM, that wasn't enough. Still, Valens had learned so much juggling his time between TSM and Google, and was so convinced that his analytics could yield stellar results that he committed to going into esports full-time.
A lot of discussions happened between myself and Jack, the CEO of Cloud9, to see, look, this is how I envision Counter-Strike and esports could be played using some more advanced statistics. Let me show you, Jack. He just saw a lot of value in actually bringing someone full-time on board that is doing not just the coaching, but also the strategizing and analytics for esports at Cloud9 in general.
What Valens needed was a roster that was both confident and self-sufficient enough that they could benefit from his coaching without having to rely on it. As he saw it, his strength lay in enabling players, not instructing them. He didn't need soldiers, he needed shit disturbers. And thankfully, North America had a few of those.
Molly, one's coming lower, I think.
Not on it, pushing!
In February of 2017, Valens followed his boy Automatic to Cloud9, the organization that North America's rowdiest, most ragtag mixture of bunny-hopping, smoke-pushing, rank S pug stars would eventually call home. But Valens didn't just see it as an opportunity to prove himself. He saw it as a chance to innovate. The question, again, was how? Well, what separated this iteration of Cloud9 from its shroud and nothing predecessor wasn't just their youth. It was the way they lived and died by this sort of puggy, precocious, new school style of Counter-Strike.
NACS, I think, at least for me, it means kind of just like when like shit is going down, but you don't know why, and like, you know, because of that, you're like your teammate gets killed, or like, you know, things that you don't intend to happen are happening, and you don't know like why. I think that's like the epitome of like when people are saying NACS.
The thing is, whereas others saw a bunch of meme misfits, Valens saw a sea of untapped potential. Here you had 5 undeniably gifted gunners. So instead of trying to stifle, train, or tame them, Valens figured, why not give them a structure within which they could do their thing and eventually become the deadliest fucking clowns Counter-Strike had ever seen.
Nothing left to achieve. Stewie trying to hunt him down, peeks it up with a jump, flashes us in, knife is out, and he's gonna get stabbed. Crystal, oh my god, what a brutal round.
By the end of the year, Ska, Stu, Tim, Tarik, and Rush had cemented themselves as not only their region's biggest sweethearts, but question marks. Going into the E-League Boston Major at the start of 2018, no one expected Cloud9 to go the distance. And in a sense, that's exactly why they did.
Stewie, he hears it. Apex stepping a little bit too soon. Now Body in so much trouble, but Kenny's gonna be up the high ground, getting the kill. He almost went down himself. There's Body picking it up, and now it's a 1 versus 1. Stewie versus Kenny. The smell of gunfire and freedom in the air, and Stewie picking up that kill. And Cloud9 are in the semi-finals.
Stewie is still here. There's still a chance. Fur's gonna walk right into it. The time, it's a double! He's done it! Stewie's created a chance!
Absolutely unbelievable. Tarik coming through, and he's gonna get the kill on Fur. Now Fur and Phelps, they're rushing in one at a time. There's no coordination. Phelps just trying to be the hero. Skadaddy will drop him, and now what can Fur possibly do? He needed somebody else to stay alive, and that just hasn't happened. The Molotov, he's gonna challenge him, but Skadaddy, the hero, Daddy's here for the triple. And 50 rounds now for Cloud9.
It quickly became apparent that C9 were somehow developing this crisp yet chaotic cohesion. It felt as if they were pugging their way to a major title, and Valens was simply steering them in the right direction.
What I would do is really just think about, okay, what has worked for us in practice that's repeatable and against other teams, and then rein it in to make sure we come up with a game plan that fits something that all 5 players are comfortable with because we have reps on it in practice, and let their innate ability of being able to play out mid-round in the chaos, that'll be there. You know, that will be there. I don't have to teach them that, but make sure we're in our game plan focusing on the stuff that we know how to do extremely well.
It's a 5v4 for Cloud9 with 40 seconds to go, and Carrigan, he can't reposition. He has to frag, and he gets only 1. And now that's Cloud9 moving quickly towards B. They have the utility. But Olofmeister on the flank, can he catch Rush here? Rush pops up, and Rush is knocked down. Whack-a-mole there for Olofmeister, but Guardian still in position. They managed to get there fast enough. The bomb has to be planted, and Cloud9 at a disadvantage.
Tarik, brave enough to just hold the bomb plant. He knows Guardian's in construction, trying to back off, trying to reposition, sees him, tags him, but doesn't frag him.
That round defined, I think, our perseverance in the context of like, look, there's a bunch of chaotic shit happening. FaZe is actually trying to close out a round, and they're not expecting us to peak. So let's just peak.
They're spamming the grenades, they're touching the bomb, and now goes Rain, and now the bomb is trying to defuse it again, but no! Guardian gets taken down. Absolutely unreal round from Cloud9, and the score is tied.
The fact that data can be used to help teams improve and scout other teams is really icing on the cake. Ultimately, when you're playing the game, you're in the match, and whatever 30 rounds are happening, you need to adapt to what's happening in front of you. And at all times, the coach should be the person that knows the most of what are possibles, what is potentially likely to happen, but the player should just be focusing on the game.
When all was said and done, Valens' job wasn't so much to tell C9 what to do. It was to tell them what their opponents were going to do. and then let them adjust accordingly.
One thing that was super clear to us during the game itself was that Kerrigan was calling in a way to get kills early on his T side for map control, and if he didn't get them, he did not have a refined way to finish the round.
The rotation's being pulled. Automatic coming off his position. The smoke, the flashes, automatic blind. Stewie needs to land some shots, and he is. 2 kills for him. Don't take out your teammate. He's got to stay alive now. 10 seconds for this bomb to go down. He must stay alive. Stewie is going absolutely crazy on the B bomb site. There's no time to plant the bomb. It's too late. The money's not there. One more round. He's got to go back. Stewie's on his own. But look at the time. Look at the time. There's 7 seconds to plant the bomb. They're trying to build pyramids, but there's no more play. Stewie's won the round. We're going to overtime.
Cloud9 have done it! How have they done that? They came back all the way!
Needless to say, Cloud9's major run was historic for a variety of reasons. But the one aspect of it that might just be the most overlooked is the cutting-edge nature of valens' coaching. Of course, it wasn't long after achieving eternal glory that Cloud9's CSGO roster, well, imploded. Still, valens had proven that he was the real deal, and at the end of 2019 was given an invaluable opportunity to take things to the next level. As Evil Genius's head of data science, Valens has truly managed to unite his affinity for esports with his undying love of analytics, expanding his horizons to such titles as League of Legends, Dota 2, and Valorant.
Nicole, who is the CEO of EG, she had the best vision and the one that aligned closest to mine for not just having a data team for helping with our internal teams like CSGO, League of Legends, Dota 2, but making this a multi-year initiative. Have data be the central part of not just their esports team strategizing, but also how our players performing on a day-to-day basis in and out of the server. So it's like a whole, encompassed data-driven culture at EG that I really liked.
Slowly but surely, this Stanford-educated CS fiend has succeeded in making esports at large just a little more calculated, even if his journey to getting there was both born and bred in, well, chaos.
We did the thing, we won the major, we proved that we could do it as a team and using numbers as well. You got to start with the questions. If you don't know what questions are actually worth answering, it doesn't matter that you have the data, because you'll realize someone's going to ask a question, it might be you yourself, that suddenly you don't have a data point to answer now. So then you have to go back, rebuild, figure out where you get that data. You're going to go back to that step anyway. So ask the questions first and then collect the data accordingly. And that has helped enormously, both in business and esports. Once a year, I send an email to Valve. Hey guys, have you considered giving coaches an in-game trophy for the major? I think it'd be really cool and show that Valve supports coaches in Counter-Strike. Best, Soham. I've sent that 3 years in a row. Valve said they're looking into it. They might consider it, but so far I haven't yet gotten that trophy in game.